You know what's absolutely wild? We walk around every single day asking permission for things that already belong to us. We apologize for taking up space. We shrink ourselves down to fit into boxes we never even agreed to climb into. We say, "I'm sorry," before we've done anything wrong. And we ask, "Is it okay if I?" for things that are literally our birthright. And then we wonder why life feels like we're constantly begging at a table where we should be sitting at the head. Here's the truth, and I need you to really hear this. You don't need to be emotional about what's yours. You don't need to cry for it, beg for it, or throw a tantrum to get it. You don't need to convince anyone, including the universe, that you deserve it. What's yours is yours, period. End of story. But here's where it gets interesting. And here's why you're probably watching this video right now, nodding your head like I'm reading your diary. You've been operating under a completely backward system your entire life, and nobody bothered to tell you. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you own a magnificent house. It's yours. The deed has your name on it. But you've been living in the basement because you didn't think you had permission to go upstairs. You've been eating crackers when there's a feast in the kitchen. You've been sleeping on the floor when there's a king-sized bed waiting for you. And why? Because somewhere along the way, somebody convinced you that you needed to earn your way into your own house, that you needed to feel worthy enough, that you needed the right emotions, the right spiritual vibrations, the right alignment before you could claim what was already yours. I see you. I see you working overtime on your feelings, trying to manufacture worthiness, trying to feel abundant before you allow yourself to claim abundance, trying to feel confident before you take confident action, trying to feel deserving before you accept what's being offered to you. And it's exhausting, isn't it? It's like trying to feel like a swimmer before you get in the water. You're standing on the shore doing affirmations about being a swimmer, visualizing yourself swimming, reading books about swimming, but you won't get in the water because you don't feel like a swimmer yet. Here's what nobody tells you, and this is going to change everything if you let it. Command comes before feeling. Action comes before emotion. You don't wait to feel like doing something to do it. You do it, and the feeling follows. This isn't just motivational fluff. This is actually how your brain works. Your brain doesn't care about your intentions. It cares about your actions. Your brain says, "Oh, you're doing this? Then I guess this is who we are now. Let me adjust your feelings accordingly." The universe operates on the same principle, but with even less sentimentality about it. The universe is like the most efficient computer system ever created. It doesn't care about your sob story. It doesn't care about your trauma. It doesn't need you to heal every wound, release every limiting belief, and achieve perfect inner peace before it delivers what's yours. The universe responds to command. It responds to claim. It responds to the assumption that what you're claiming is already done. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking this sounds too simple, too easy, maybe even too good to be true. You've been taught that manifestation requires all this emotional labor, all this inner work, all this healing and aligning and vibrating at the right frequency. And look, I'm not saying that inner work isn't valuable. I'm not saying self-awareness isn't important. But what I am saying is that you've been using it as a stalling tactic. You've been hiding in the healing. You've been using "I'm not ready yet" as an excuse to not claim what's already yours. Think about it this way. When you walk into your own home, do you stand at the door and say, "Universe, I would really appreciate it if maybe, possibly, if it's not too much trouble, you could allow me to enter my own home"? No. You walk in, you turn on the lights, you sit on your couch, you raid your own refrigerator. You don't ask permission because it's yours. You don't need to feel worthy of your own home. You just claim it because the deed has your name on it. Everything you want, everything that's meant for you, already has your name on it. But you're standing outside asking permission to go in. You're waiting for the right feeling, the right sign, the right moment, the right level of spiritual development. Meanwhile, what's yours is just sitting there, waiting for you to walk through the door. Let me give you a framework that's going to make this crystal clear. In the invisible world, in the realm of infinite possibility, everything already exists. Every possible version of your life, every outcome, every reality is already there. It's not that you need to create it. It's that you need to claim the reality that already has your name on it. You need to step into it with the assumption that it's already yours. This is where most people get tripped up. They think they need to make it happen. They think they need to force it, push it, manipulate circumstances, control outcomes. They think they need to have this big emotional breakthrough or this perfect state of consciousness. But that's not command. That's begging with extra steps. Command is simply stating what is already true in the invisible and watching it manifest in the visible. Here's the part that might sound a little wild, but stay with me. When you command something that's yours, when you claim it without emotion, without attachment, without desperation, you're actually operating from the highest form of faith. You're not trying to convince yourself or anyone else. You're simply knowing. It's the difference between a child begging for their inheritance and an heir walking into their estate. One is asking permission. The other is claiming what's already theirs. Now let's talk about why emotion actually gets in the way of this process. Because this is counterintuitive to everything you've been taught. You've been told to feel it into existence, to vibrate at the frequency of having it, to generate powerful emotions around your desires. And while emotions are wonderful and they make life worth living, they're terrible at command. Here's why. Emotion implies that the outcome is uncertain. When you're putting a ton of emotion into something, you're actually affirming that you don't have it yet. You're in the energy of wanting rather than having. You're in the energy of hoping rather than knowing. Think about the things you already have in your life that you don't question. Your name, for example. You don't wake up every morning and emotionally affirm that your name is your name. You don't visualize having your name. You don't try to vibrate at the frequency of your name. You just know it's your name. That's command. That's assumption. That's the energy that moves mountains. When you command what's yours with no emotion required, you're operating from a place of absolute certainty. You're not hoping. You're not wishing. You're not trying. You're just stating what is. And the universe has no choice but to reflect that back to you because you're not giving it any wiggle room. You're not asking questions. You're making statements. Here's a practical example. Let's say you want a specific amount of money. Most people approach this with so much emotion. They visualize having the money and try to feel grateful for money they don't have yet. They create vision boards and affirmations and try to manufacture the feeling of wealth. And none of it works because underneath all that emotion is the vibrating truth that they don't have it. The emotion is actually affirming the lack. Command approaches it differently. Command simply states, this amount is mine. It's already done. It's on its way. There's no question about it. And then you go about your day. You don't obsess over it. You don't try to figure out how it's going to come. You don't manufacture feelings about it. You just know it the same way you know the sun is going to rise tomorrow. You're not emotional about the sunrise. You just know it's coming. The beauty of this approach is that it takes all the pressure off. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to heal every wound. You don't have to feel a certain way. You just have to claim what's yours and let the universe handle the details. The universe is actually really good at details. It's been orchestrating sunrises and seasons and the growth of trees and the beating of your heart without any input from you. It can handle getting you what's yours. Now, I want to address something really important here, because I can feel some of you resisting this. Some of you are thinking, but what about worthiness? What about deserving? What about all the work I need to do on myself before I can have what I want? And here's what I want you to understand. Your worthiness is not up for debate. You were born worthy. You didn't have to earn your worthiness. You didn't have to prove your worthiness. You exist, therefore you're worthy. That's it. That's the whole equation. Thinking you need to become worthy is like thinking you need to become human. You already are. The work isn't to become worthy. The work is to remember that you've always been worthy and to stop letting other people's opinions, society's standards, or your own fear convince you otherwise. When you command from a place of knowing your inherent worthiness, nothing can stand in your way. Here's another thing that trips people up. They think commanding what's theirs is selfish or arrogant or somehow spiritually immature. They've been taught that good people are humble, that asking for what you want is greedy, that you should be grateful for whatever crumbs life throws your way. But that's not humility. That's just fear wearing a spiritual costume. Real humility is recognizing that you're a channel for infinite abundance, that what flows to you flows through you to others, that by claiming what's yours, you're actually contributing to the whole. You claiming your good doesn't take anything away from anyone else. There's not a limited supply of abundance, love, success, or joy. The universe isn't rationing blessings. By commanding what's yours, you're actually giving other people permission to do the same. You're breaking the collective agreement that we all have to struggle and suffer and earn our way into having a good life. Let me give you a framework for how to actually do this. Because I know you're sitting there thinking, okay, this all sounds great, but how do I actually command what's mine? It's simpler than you think. And that's probably going to frustrate you because we've been conditioned to think that anything valuable has to be complicated. First, you identify what's yours. Not what you want, not what you wish for. What's yours? What has your name on it? What you know in your gut is meant for you. This isn't about creating a vision board with a bunch of random stuff you think you should want. This is about getting quiet and listening to what your soul is claiming. What's the life that's already waiting for you? What's the version of you that already exists in the invisible? Feel into that. Know that. Second, you state it. Not as a request, not as a hope, not as a possibility, but as a fact. You can say it out loud. You can write it down. You can simply think it with absolute conviction. But you state it as already done. This is mine. This is already accomplished. This is already on its way. No emotion, no drama, just fact. The same way you would state that the sky is blue or that water is wet. Third, and this is where most people mess up, you let it go. You don't obsess over it. You don't check the mail every 5 minutes to see if it's arrived. You don't try to force open doors or manipulate circumstances. You stated what's yours, and now you trust the universe to handle the delivery. You go about your life. You stay open to opportunities. You take inspired action when it presents itself. But you're not attached to the outcome because you already know the outcome. It's yours. This is the part that requires the most practice because we've been so conditioned to worry, to control, to try to make things happen. But command is the opposite of force. Command is surrender with confidence. It's saying, I know what's mine. I've claimed it. And now I'm getting out of the way so the universe can deliver it in whatever way is best. Here's what starts to happen when you operate from this place of command. First, you stop wasting energy on worry and doubt. You stop trying to figure out the how. You stop looking for evidence that it's working or not working. You just know it's done. And that frees up an enormous amount of mental and emotional energy that you can now use for actually living your life. Second, you start to notice that things begin to fall into place in ways you never could have orchestrated. The right people show up. The right opportunities present themselves. Doors open that you didn't even know existed. The universe is a much better planner than you are, and when you get out of the way, it can actually work its magic. Third, you start to embody the version of you that already has what you've claimed. And this is important. You're not trying to fake it till you make it. You're not pretending. You're simply living from the end. You're being the person who already has it because in the invisible realm, you already do. And as you embody that version of you, the visible world has no choice but to catch up. Now, let's talk about what happens when you hit obstacles, because you will. The physical world doesn't instantly rearrange itself the moment you make a claim. There's a lag time. There's a gestation period. And during that time, you're going to see evidence that contradicts your claim. You're going to have moments of doubt. You're going to have people tell you it's impossible. And this is where your command gets tested. This is where most people give up. They see the obstacle and they think, oh, I guess it wasn't mine after all. I guess I didn't command hard enough. I guess I need to do more inner work. But obstacles aren't evidence that your command didn't work. Obstacles are just the old reality trying to persist while the new reality is forming. Your job is to not react to the obstacle with emotion. Your job is to simply hold your claim and keep moving forward. Remember, you're not trying to convince the universe. You're not trying to prove anything. You're simply knowing what's yours and letting the pieces fall into place. When an obstacle shows up, you acknowledge it without giving it power. You say, that's interesting. And then you refocus on your claim. You don't argue with reality. You don't try to force your way through. You just maintain your knowing and trust that the path will clear. Here's something that's going to sound contradictory, but it's actually the secret sauce. You have to care and not care at the same time. You care enough to make the claim. You care enough to hold the vision. You care enough to take inspired action. But you don't care so much that you're attached to the outcome. You don't care so much that your happiness depends on it showing up right now in the exact way you think it should. You care, but you're not desperate. You want it, but you don't need it to be okay. You claim it, but you're not clutching it with white knuckles. This is the energy of command. It's confident without being rigid. It's certain without being controlling. It's powerful without being forceful. It's the energy of someone who knows they've already won the game, so they can actually enjoy playing it. Let me tell you what this looks like in everyday life, because I don't want this to just be some abstract spiritual concept. This is practical. This is actionable. This changes everything when you actually apply it. Let's say you want a new job. Instead of desperately sending out hundreds of resumes and anxiously checking your email every 5 minutes and trying to manufacture confidence for interviews, you command it. You state, the perfect job is mine. It's already done. I'm already working there in the invisible. And then you take practical action without desperation. You apply for positions that genuinely excite you. You show up to interviews as someone who already knows they're hired. You're not trying to convince anyone. You're just claiming what's already yours. Or let's say you want a relationship. Instead of obsessing over every text, analyzing every interaction, trying to make someone choose you, you command it. You state, my perfect partner is mine. We're already together in the invisible. And then you live your life as someone who's already in that relationship. You don't settle for crumbs. You don't tolerate behavior that doesn't match your claim. You're not desperate because you already know how this ends. You're already chosen. Or let's say you want financial abundance. Instead of worrying about bills, checking your bank account obsessively, trying to figure out where the money is going to come from, you command it. You state, I am abundantly provided for. Money flows to me easily. My needs are always met. And then you act from that knowing. You don't hoard. You don't panic. You spend wisely but without fear. You're generous because you know there's more where that came from. You're not trying to control the flow. You're just claiming your place in it. Do you see how different this is from what you've been doing? You've been trying to make it happen. You've been trying to control outcomes. You've been trying to feel your way into having it. But command is about knowing, not feeling. It's about claiming, not creating. It's about assuming it's already done, and then watching the evidence show up to confirm what you already know. Now here's where this gets really exciting. When you start operating from command instead of emotion, when you start claiming what's yours instead of begging for it, something shifts in you. You start to carry yourself differently. You start to speak differently. You start to make decisions differently. You embody a version of you that knows their value, that doesn't settle, that doesn't shrink, that doesn't apologize for taking up space. And here's the thing about that version of you. People feel it. The universe feels it. Opportunities feel it. That version of you magnetizes what's yours because there's no question, no doubt, no wavering. You've decided. And when you truly decide, when you truly command, the whole universe conspires to make it happen. So here's what I want you to do right now. I want you to identify one thing that's yours. One thing that you know in your gut is meant for you. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be true. One thing that has your name on it, and I want you to claim it. Not out loud if that feels weird, just in your mind. State it as fact. State it as already done. This is mine. This is already accomplished. And then I want you to notice how that feels. Not the emotion of wanting it, not the hope of having it, but the knowing that it's already yours. That quiet, calm, unshakable knowing. That's command. That's the energy that moves mountains. That's the frequency that the universe responds to. Here's your homework. And I'm serious about this, because knowing without doing is just entertainment. First, practice stating what's yours every single day. Make it a non-negotiable part of your routine. Right when you wake up, before your brain has a chance to fill with doubt and worry and the chaos of the day, state your claim. Simple, clear, Certain, no emotion required. Second, catch yourself every time you slip back into asking permission for what's already yours. Every time you hear yourself saying, I hope, or I wish, or maybe if I'm lucky, stop yourself and reframe it as command. I hope I get that opportunity becomes, that opportunity is mine. I wish things would work out becomes, things are working out. Do you feel the difference? One is begging, one is claiming. Third, start acting as if it's already done. Not fake it till you make it. Not pretending. Actually living from the assumption that what you've claimed is already yours in the invisible and it's just making its way to you in the visible. How would you act if you already had it? What would you do? How would you spend your time? What would you say no to? What would you say yes to? Be that person now. And here's the final piece, and this might be the most important. Stop checking for evidence. Stop looking for proof. Stop asking the universe, is it working? Are we there yet? Can I see a sign? Because every time you check, you're actually affirming that you don't have it yet. You're affirming doubt instead of knowing. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You trust the process. You water it. You give it sunlight. And then you let it do its thing. Your commands are the same way. Trust that what you've claimed is already done in the invisible. Trust that the universe is handling the details. Trust that it's all working out in ways that are better than you could have planned. And trust yourself. Trust that you're not crazy for claiming what's yours. Trust that you're not being selfish or arrogant. Trust that you're simply stepping into what's always been meant for you. Listen, you are more powerful than you've been taught to believe. You have more authority than you've been allowed to claim. You are not here to beg for scraps. You're not here to apologize for wanting a good life. You're not here to wait until you're perfect before you claim what's yours. You're here to command. You're here to claim. You're here to step into the fullness of who you were created to be. And the beautiful thing is, it doesn't require emotion. It doesn't require you to feel a certain way. It doesn't require you to heal every wound, or fix every flaw, or achieve some level of spiritual perfection. It just requires you to know what's yours and claim it. That's it. That's the whole game. So I want you to go forward from this moment operating from a completely different paradigm. Not the paradigm of hoping and wishing and trying to earn your way into a good life, but the paradigm of knowing and claiming and commanding what's already yours. Walk through life like you own your own house, because you do. Claim your seat at the table, because it's yours. Step into your good, because it's been waiting for you. If this resonated with you, if something in you just clicked and said, yes, this is what I've been missing, then do me a favor. Drop a comment below and tell me what you're commanding. Tell me what's yours. State it publicly. There's power in declaration. There's power in saying it out loud. And I want to see what you're claiming, because your command might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to give themselves permission to claim their own good. And if you want more of this kind of content, if you want to keep learning how to operate from this place of command and claim and absolute knowing, then subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell, because I'm going to keep showing you how to step into the life that's already been prepared for you. The life that has your name on it. The life that's waiting for you to simply walk through the door and claim it. Remember, no emotion required. Just command, just knowing, just claiming what's already yours. Now go take what's yours. It's been waiting for you.